sun in. Lift your weary head up to the sky. Open up your window, let the sun in, and sing out with your arms stretched open wide. Hello world!
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, Chloe. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm great.
So if you hear that, that's my dog.
hello.
Annie has decided, right as the show was starting, Annie decided to come over and like sit right at my feet and look up at me.
Yeah.
And do that. Yeah. Good morning, Annie. Everybody's saying good morning.
Good morning,
who knows?
Annie.
Maybe she'll relax. Maybe she won't. Who knows, Chloe? You might have to take over so I can take her out. I don't know.
You know, it's a live show. Anything can happen.
It's a live show. Anything could happen. And it is. It's another Monday. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. Hi, Raj Andelman in the chat. Good morning, Rachel.
Hello.
Very excited to be here. It's a wonderful way to start my week, and I had a piece of hair in my coffee. That's good.
It's not a good sign. It's not going well for the episode.
The morning has started. I have hair in my coffee, and I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. Yeah. Let's see. Let me tell you about my weekend. My morning's been good. I had got up very early to do a virtual training session. I did a 7 a.m. training session. And then that was a half hour, and then I messed around on TikTok for an hour. Now I'm here.
What a morning.
What a morning.
Exercise and TikTok.
Yeah. And this sweater, I want to say, so this sweater, one of my clients is moving away. She's going to medical school, which I'm very proud of her for. I'm very excited for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like getting rid of a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a fellow tall person. And so I was like, hey, if you have any clothes that you don't want. And so like we had a training session last week, and then I like came down to the parking lot with her and was like digging through her trunk. But I got a cashmere sweater out of it, so I'm not mad.
I love that. That. Why let it go to waste? It should go to somebody that can use it.
Yeah.
Y'all, we got a great show for you today. But we let's do a little. We've got some stuff we need to do before we bring out our first guest. I'm very excited. So let's see. This is cool. The fact of the day today, on April 26, 1962, the first U.S. satellite, it was the first U.S. satellite to reach the surface of the moon.
Wow.
Yeah. And by reach, I mean crash into. It was supposed to land, but it did land. It landed very fast.
I mean, it just really depends on how you measure success.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was the first time that we had sent anything to, just kind of strew junk on the moon.
Oh.
Go us.
Go us. Littering on other
planets. It's the American dream.
Yeah.
Today's also National Audubon Day.
Like the birds?
Like the bird, not like the fast, not like the really fast German highway. So we've got some bird trivia for you today.
Thank God.
So excited. They're basically dinosaurs.
They're dinosaurs.
Yeah. So here's our bird trivia question today. Now, we all know a group of crows is called a murder, but what do we call a group of owls?
I know this.
You know this one?
I'm very excited. Yes. My mom got a series of cards a while back that she was sending me that was basically like, on the front of it was like, this is what this group of animals is called. And this was on one of the cards. So I remember. Nice.
Yeah. So we're looking to find out what we call a group of owls, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Oh man, I wish it was a cuddle. Good morning, Bella.
I think there is a group of animals called a cuddle, but I can't remember what kind of animal it is. We're gonna find out.
It's a cuddle of koala.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. Part of P-Funk. Yeah, that's what it's a part of P-Funk of owls.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. Keep those guesses coming if you'd like. We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. All right. So Chloe, you ready to bring on our first guest?
I'm very ready. I'm so excited.
I'm stoked. So we are going to welcome to the show a journalist who has a book out now called Lockdown in Hell World. So we're going to start the morning with a nice light discussion about what it's like to live in a hellscape, something we all have experienced doing.
We can all relate to it.
Yeah. Please welcome to the show, Luke O'Neill. Good morning, Luke.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this morning.
Sorry about my backlight here, but I don't have one of these fancy bookshelf setups that people who go on TV all the time have. You know,
that's okay. Yeah. That's all right. I'm literally sitting in my dining room.
This is my headboard. I'm on my bed.
Yeah.
So
we're all just doing the best. We're all just doing the best we can.
That's great.
I'm gonna lay down immediately after this.
I like how subtle the difference is between the two names of our two projects here. Yours is like very friendly, like "Hello World," and mine is kind of the opposite.
You just take the O out.
Take the O.
Yeah. So Luke, you sent me like a PDF of the book, and I read a little bit of it, and I just got real. Like, but in a good way. Like I love your style. I just it's a great, like, I just love your sound, and it's fantastic.
That's nice of you to say.
Now you're from Massachusetts originally, yes?
Yeah, I live here. I live here now. Most of my life I lived here in Massachusetts. Although, as I write about in the book, we just moved out sort of to a much more suburban area, maybe like 40 minutes west of Boston after being real close to the city. And so we did that on April 1st of last year. So it was like a really weird time to, move anywhere and then be in a new place and not even really be able to explore it, So I'm really excited to, the vaccines are happening to actually learn what the place I live is like.
Did you know a lot of your neighbors?
No, I don't know. I mean, we I know them to like, hey, say hi, but it's not like they could come over with like a gift basket or something,
Right.
So yeah, that's one of the things that we get into the book about feeling of alienation and trying to figure out where you belong, and just as a pandemic is happening.
Yeah. Before the move, did you have like a community that you?
Much more so, and especially like being able to see friends. That was real nice. I kind of missed that part.
Yeah. At least 3-dimensional friends.
Right.
You see everybody on a screen. It's like you forget that there's people have depth.
Very strange. I just saw some friends the other day, and most of us are lucky enough that we've gotten the vaccines at this point. So it was great, but we're still, people don't really seem to be able to know if we're hugging yet or if we're shaking hands and stuff, and so it's a little bit of a gray area here.
Yeah. After a year of this, it's really, I just started working again. I just got a job that I actually have to get on the T and travel to, and then interact with people once I get there. And it's jarring. I'm like, I don't know that I necessarily care for this.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the T in a while. I hear like the much long promised Green Line extension is finally about to happen. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, maybe, but no. I'm a Red Line guy, so I just get on the Red Line. And
fancy. Okay.
Yeah.
He's super fancy.
I'm fancy.
I'm over here on the Orange Line. It's a mess. Yeah, I kind of like in terms of, I've heard that it's the Green Line is going to happen, but I'm not going to believe it until I see it. I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
Right. But, no. Yeah. It's been like 20 years I've been hearing about it.
Yeah, I think they're going to do another big dig, and they're just going to dig out, and then who knows where they're going to put that dirt.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking about birds.
Yeah.
The only science class I took in college, because as a writer, I'm like many of us, I'm an idiot when it comes to science. I took ornithology, which was the study of birds.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not remember much about it, except being sort of horrified by the situation with the bird genitals they have going on down there. I believe it's called a cloaca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of weird.
And the fact that they crystallize their urine.
Oh, is that right? I've forgotten about that.
This is a fact I read late last night while I was prepping for this show. That's usually when I do all the prep for the show, is either the 45 minutes leading up to the show or at like midnight the night before. But yeah, I read that they crystallize their urine, mix it with their poop, and out it goes.
There you go.
All out one hole.
I must have been hungover the day they taught that.
Yeah, it's fine. You didn't really miss much. I learned most about birds from the first Jurassic Park movie. Sam Neill.
Yeah, I took a class in college called the Age of Dinosaurs, which is basically like the evolution of dinosaurs, and of course birds are dinosaurs. But they can, so our air path is one way. You breathe in and out the same tube. With birds, it's circular.
Oh.
And so they can breathe in and out at the same time, which they kind of have to get to be able to get enough oxygen to like power flight, because it takes a lot of energy.
That's interesting. I just learned, apparently it just came out, new information that T-Rexes are very slow. You see that story the other day that they, yeah. So
what?
Any of us could easily run away from a T-Rex. No longer scared of them.
Thank God.
I spent a big portion of my youth being very scared of that the T-Rex was going to eat me at some point.
Well, yeah.
No.
I mean, I saw Jurassic Park 4 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the theater. And like, I mean, it was coming after that Jeep. And, you got the whole Jeff Goldblum, go faster, we must go faster, and now that's all bullshit.
I think we were also led to believe that quicksand was going to be a bigger problem than it is.
Very much so. Actually, I just saw some chart and I had no idea if it was just somebody making a joke, but it showed like the amount of quicksand in movies, and it was like correlated to like the period of the Vietnam War, where I guess there was probably like quicksand in.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
I can't. Don't take my word on that, but I saw somebody made a graphic of it on Twitter, so it must have been true.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it's on Twitter, if Rachel Annelman has taught me anything over the course of this pandemic, is if it's on Twitter, it's 100% fact.
It's real, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on whose Twitter you look at. So Luke, when did you because this book is a collection of essays, right, from your blog. So you have you still post things on that blog?
I have a newsletter called Welcome to Hell World, and I wrote another book on that one that came out last year, and so it's one of these Substacks newsletters that people are talking about all the time now, and I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, and I'm lucky that I was able to build up a pretty large following on it. And my publisher happened to be a big fan of it, and they encouraged me to write the first book, and that turned out pretty well. And then I didn't really have much else going on this past year besides sitting here and writing. So I managed to make another one too. And everyone said, "Oh, I'm going to be productive during quarantine and everything and write a book," and I did, but I don't feel like it was very productive, because I was just kind of sitting in the house. It doesn't feel like you're actually doing anything,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like I'm so with building this channel over the course of the last year, it's a lot of sitting in front of the computer, and it just feels like I really haven't done much. But then you go back and look, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that how many essays are in this book? There's
I think there's probably 20 or something like that. I mean, this one is shorter. This one's only 250 pages. This one was much longer. It's 550.
Yeah, that's so many pages.
A lot there. But I've been pretty prolific on the newsletter, and it's because I really decided, I was a freelance journalist for most of my life, and I just really got burnt out on that whole process of pitching stories and being told no, or waiting to hear, and luckily the concept of newsletters were taking off again a few years ago, and I just decided, fuck that, I'm gonna just try to do this on my own and see how it works out. And I'm fortunate that I've been able to pull it off somehow.
Yeah, because it's you took the whole freelance thing and just that, it's truly freelance. You're
right, yeah,
doing your own thing.
No, it's very liberating in a way, and people joke about Substack and stuff like not having editors now and stuff like that, and there's pros and cons to that, because a lot of times you have to just sit there and wait. That's what being a freelance journalist is. You get a great idea, you send off the email, and you never know if you're even going to hear back at all. And, or maybe it'll be a week before you do. And that, if nothing else, that's the part that I feel most liberated from. It's I want to write about this right now. I can just do it and send it out to people on my own. I don't have to have someone in the middle, that I'm relying on.
Yeah.
That said, there are drawbacks to not having editors. I tend to get a little bit long-winded, and, certainly make some typos or two that come through on the newsletter. So, editors do have their place. But by and large, it's been, this really great freeing thing,
Yeah. We've got a couple questions coming in the chat, which is what I love about Twitch, is the interaction here. And Rachel, who through Twitter, who helped get you on the show, asked what's the process from turning a newsletter into a book like? What's that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, there's different mediums, so certain things aren't going to work in the different formats, of course, and so. A lot of the newsletters tend to be sort of on the fly. Here's what's happening right now, and with the context that everyone will know about. Whatever is being talked about on Twitter a lot, or what's in the news that day. So in going back and turning a lot of those into, you have to try to make them into something that's going to be a little more evergreen, and that has context, because obviously you can't. I mean, I guess you can in ebooks and stuff, but in a traditional book, you're not really, you can't press on it and go find out what else is people are talking about. So that's a little bit of a heavy lift, is trying to turn everything into something that's more self-contained rather than within the conversation, and and it's also a good exercise in when you, for both of these books, what I do is go back and look over the past year of things I've wrote for the newsletter, and some of them, in retrospect, you're like, oh, that wasn't that interesting, that wasn't important. But some of them you're like, okay, this is the type of thing that sort of defines what happened in this year, and this is worthy of being sort of more formally memorialized in a book, you know, if that makes sense.
Because it you know, this is a very unique and weird moment in time, and so like there's like looking back on it is always going to be different than what it was like to be in it, and like it's super important to have those records of like what it was like from the inside.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's crazy. It feels crazy, right? You aren't necessarily able to like sort through everything and process it and articulate it, but like we can see like being able to preserve and see of like all of those chaotic feelings. I think it's super important.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. For sure.
What was the choosing process like of like, because I'm assuming you didn't put all your essays into the book, or maybe, I mean, maybe you did.
No, definitely not. You know, I think there was like material for, you know, hundreds more pages. I think it's just a matter of like, sometimes, again, you know, the thing with an editor, like you can be a little self-indulgent when you're just writing for yourself. And I think like going back, you know, looking at something you wrote 6 months ago, like I think a lot of writers say they always hate to reread their work, but like for me, I hate to reread the things that weren't that great, you know, like you know, with some hindsight, you're like, okay, that one was good, I'm gonna hold on to that one, and then I'll go through and I'll see one and be like, oh, that one kind of sucked, and you know, let's just kind of lose that one. So I think it's just like a matter of being sort of honest with yourself and what, you know, trying to understand when you've done something good and when you've done something bad, and you know, whether or not I'm right about which ones are good or bad is you know,
But it's your work, so I mean, it's you know better than anybody. But at the same time, you can be more critical of your own. You're always more critical of your own work. Yeah.
When ones aren't good, I'll hear about it too.
Yeah.
So
someone will tell you.
No, and that is a really good. Actually, I mean, like that's also a good feedback process, because the thing with the newsletter is that you're having. Like I have a much closer connection to my reader. Like they can just press reply on the newsletter and tell me what they think. And so I take note of that. Like, you know, I'm lucky that a lot of my readers are very engaged, and they'll write lengthy responses and tell me when things have really hit the mark, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, certainly Twitter is the place where I go to find out that I fucking suck shit. And hear that too, and you kind of got to balance those two things, you know. Like a lot of people have said this, like you can't pay attention to your biggest praise and your biggest criticism. No, you have to sort of shave off like 20% on either side, you know. Like you don't listen to people telling you you're great, and you don't want to just listen to people telling you suck, you know.
Yeah, and that's a really cool way to look at it, you know. You shave off the ends, and then what you've got in the middle is
right. That seems to be a like more accurate representation of where you're at, you know.
And like the Facts of Life, you know, theme song taught you got to take the good and take the bad.
That's right.
So Bella, one of our loyal viewers who watches all the time, asks, were you always interested in just creating books, or did like the newsletter success bring you the idea of doing a book?
No, I actually never really wanted to write a book, because I don't know if people who aren't in the industry know that, but it's like it's a huge pain in the ass. Like writing a book itself is hard. I think everyone can probably know that, but like just the process of it sucks. Like again, with the pitching and editing, like in order to write a book, in order to get a book published, you basically have to write like a third of the book, like on your own time for free, to then go and send out to have an agent send around, and maybe you're going to get $20,000, $30,000. I mean, unless you're like, you know, a big name, and then you might get 100,000. So you're working all this time for free on something that probably isn't even going to get published. So I never really, I was always like, fuck that. When you're a freelancer, you're like, you have to, you know, make a living, $200, $300, $500 for a piece at a time. And that process, that concept of like pitching a book never appealed to me. And then I got really lucky that the folks at Or Books just happened to like what I was doing, and they're this great like leftist indie publisher, and so they were like, no, we already like what you're doing. I was like, well, okay, I guess that removes the step that I didn't like. So I got pretty lucky there.
Now, are there any? Is there any like particular one of your essays that you're like, if somebody is discovering you for the first time, and you're like, this is the essay you should read to get to really get kind of what my style is? I mean, I'm sure they're all going to be kind of like that, but are there any that are your favorites?
Well, it just so happens last night that I happened to tweet out an old one. It's the first one in this book, the Welcome to Hell World book. Mm-hmm. I saw that Jimmy Kimmel had George W. Bush on his show the other night, and they were laughing it up and being friends. And this is part of the process of the rehabilitation of George Bush's legacy. And a lot of, especially even like Democrats think of him as a kindly old painting grandpa now. And the first essay in the book, it's called like God Will Punish Them. And it's about this young girl in Iraq whose family we slaughtered for no reason. And this really famous photograph of her like screaming, covered in her family's blood. And sorry to take things down a notch here.
No, I was actually listening to that right before the show. I pulled up the YouTube of you doing you were doing a reading of it as well as a panel discussion.
Oh, right, at the Strand, yeah.
At the Strand in New York. I just wanted to. I like to listen to I'm big into I'm not big into audiobooks. I'm trying to get big into audiobooks because I don't know. The internet has really kind of taken my attention span for reading,
right?
And I'm trying to get better at it. But
you can put it on while you're walking or driving.
Yeah, exactly. And I was listening to that story, and I was just like, I could not stop listening to it. Like it's horrific.
Yeah, it is, and that's a good, and so that's probably a good tone setter. And a lot of the stuff becomes more personal about my own life and my own sort of making my way through Hell World, but I think that's probably a good one. It's at the top of my Twitter right now if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, it's right there on the Twitter. You can Luke O'Neill 47 on Twitter, so go follow that. I also pop Luke's Substack there in the chat, so you can go on there and subscribe to that. Man, yeah, that it's still like I don't even I'm trying to I'm still trying to process it.
Yeah, no, that was a sad one, and obviously we do all sorts of horrible things around the world, and if you're the type of person who likes to be kept abreast on all the miserable things that we do in this country, I definitely would recommend reading my stuff. And if you don't like that, that's fine,
Yeah, but you should probably find a good balance, that balance. Yeah. You shave off either end. You need to stay a little bit informed.
It's also funny too, the newsletter. So it's not all completely miserable and bleak. I try to interject moments of levity because people wouldn't really want to read just constant miserable shit all the time. So you got to.
I'm sure you don't want to write constant miserable shit.
No, I feel like I kind of fucked up here. I used to, for many years, I used to be a music journalist, and I missed that now. I was like, I just want to write about what bands I like again.
Well, I mean, maybe that's your next book.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
Music in Hell World. You can keep the music of Hell World. Something, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, no problem. Take it. Yeah. I don't even need royalties on that or anything.
10%.
Yeah.
We'll put it towards the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have anything coming up? I know this just came out. The lockdown in Hell World. But as an artist, you're probably always thinking about the next thing. Do you have something like in the works that you're working on, or
not yet? But I mean, I'm kind of I I might end up doing some touring for the book. Obviously couldn't really do that this year, and but in the meantime, I'm just working on. I've actually sort of shifted a little bit on the newsletter, where I'm becoming more of a publisher myself and publishing pieces from lots of other people. And,
oh, cool.
And and it's been great. So, putting some of the money that I make from subscribers and sharing it with other journalists. And I kind of I'm starting to really like that, because, I want to get a broader array of voices in there. And there's a good one today about, why we don't hear about Black cowboys and how they were actually like a real, big part of the American mythology.
Oh, yeah.
And they've just been like, written out. And so if anyone wants to read about that, that's the new one today up on luke.substack.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Really, it's really interesting. I mean, there are a lot of things that were obviously like commandeered from Black culture. There's another, I think it's called like the Banjo Reclamation Project is another one.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, they're trying. It's a project that's trying to get banjos back in the hands of Black people. We very much associate it with like
rural Southern
white folk, but it's very much those blues roots and stuff. So
and Steve Martin for some reason.
I was just thinking. I just saw a thing on YouTube that Steve Martin's Tiny Desk, NPR Tiny Desk thing, where he's playing the banjo, because he's gone from comedian now to full-fledged bluegrass banjo player.
Fine. God bless him.
He can do. He's earned it.
He's earned some good. Yeah.
He can play a little
leeway.
Steve Martin is literally the whitest man alive. Yeah,
could be true.
Yeah, his autobiography is really, really good.
Oh, is it good?
Born Standing is what it's called. That was back when I was still reading books.
Put that on my headphones when I go for a walk today.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
It's been wonderful chatting. Check out Luke on Twitter. Subscribe to his Substack. I can't wait to have you back to see how the book is going and to see your next projects.
All right, anytime. Maybe I'll see you on the red line.
There you go. Thanks, Luke. Take care. Bye-bye. Luke O'Neill.
He's great. Yeah, I started reading his book and there's a bit in there where he, like at the beginning of lockdown, he was like, I was asking what day it is as a bit. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, something you say to make conversation.
Yeah.
Not a bit anymore.
All right. Chloe, you ready to, is Buddy Joe there? We're going to.
Oh, Buddy Joe's here. Absolutely. Are we having a dog moment?
Right here. So let's do a real quick dog show. So here's our pups. This is the one that's been aggravating me for the last half hour, just sitting at my feet.
Buddy Joe just got a haircut that I did. It's not very good.
Oh no! Oh, you got a home cut?
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah. We take Annie there's a groomer just around the block from us that we take her to. And the last time we took her, I don't know if you can see, but one of her eyebrows is much longer than the other.
It's true.
But whenever we take them, I always say they can't get rid of this because she's always had this wonderful,
that's part of her,
like mohawk.
That's where her strength is. If you cut it off, she loses her powers.
Yeah. So I'm going to. She is not going to leave me alone.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is
we're in charge.
Well, here's the plan. Here's what I was thinking. We're going to do this on the fly.
Okay.
Here, pardon me. We usually show our last week on, and then we'll go right into Chloe doing a little segment. So, and then I'll pop in during that segment.
Perfect.
So let's check out and see what was going on last week on 2MB.
That's fun.
Yeah, so I'd take over all of them. It'd all just be pictures of, yeah.
Review.
It'd just be my face. You know, like.
I mean, that's a good meme right there. Honestly, that's a really good meme.
Yeah,
right there. You look like a '90s rap video. Honestly,
I feel like a '90s.
But you know what we will have, even though we won't have parents, what we will have is I will always be comforted that the night that you know, Rush Limbaugh died, we were having gay sex, and that, you know, we'll always have Rush Limbaugh dying, and so that's kind of
Yeah.
I really hold that tight to my heart. It's a really wonderful experience.
British goose Sumit.
Sumit, you put me in the middle. Just see me now. I'm a little tiny guy.
You're tucked in there nice and tight.
Look at you, yeah.
Oh,
High five,
God.
high five.
There we go. Yeah.
High five, Dave.
Other way, other way.
Other way? There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
No, other way.
To the middle.
No,
to the middle.
this way?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
What? Am I looking at it backwards?
I'm looking at the stream.
I'm looking at the stream too.
Apparently all of these items in Ed and Lorraine Warren's home are, you know, cursed in some way, linked to demonic something, haunted something, all of these pieces, right?
So they never sleep because their home is just filled with horrific energy.
I guess. Here is Lorraine posing with Annabelle. You can see it says, "Do not touch anything." Warning, positively, do not.
It is cold. I do not like it.
Yeah, you don't get it. Some people love this. It's
now there is sand on my foot.
Yeah.
Come off.
Yeah, that sand's going to be with you in your boot for a time. And the enemy, the ocean has made a dangerous enemy that day.
Yeah, what are you doing with your No, Colin, what do you do?
How do I didn't understand the garlic.
Oh no.
I wish I didn't buy just a thing of garlic. Because they had pre-chopped garlic.
Oh, no, I probably should have asked you to do that. So you know a clove is just one of those things, right? The bulb is the whole thing. One of those little is a clove.
One of those little things is a clove?
Yeah.
Not the entire bulb.
You had a whole bulb of garlic? Oh my god. Oh, Carl. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. Well, someone had a real garlicky potato salad.
Man, where's the material you removed from the walls already? That isn't wallpaper you're removing. It's skin! Whoa!
Ew.
That was a good story I found, which plays well with the fact that I was saying earlier that sun is evil.
I will never.
You know, people are tortured without a trial, and that's unfair. But you might be surprised as to see which government runs that.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for publicly telling everyone about your humiliation fetish.
Yeah.
If you do want to own Zach, bring up Cuba, and his dick gets hard. Anyway, all right, that was a joke. That was a joke for this show. That's good. Thank you.
Appearance of the Lindbergh baby.
Oh, Marissa, what is this?
It is a 1940s babysitter.
Well, what is this actually?
It's a 1930s invention called the urban window baby cage.
That's so much.
Wow.
That's so many things.
That is so many words. Let's go to the next question. Lauren.
Hello, it's now just the close show. That was, somebody said they were upset about the garlic. I'm also very upset about the garlic. Yeah, one of the little things is a clove. The whole cluster of them is a bulb. Oh my god. Oh, and all the cursed objects. That lady, she has to be a witch, because there's no other way she would be comfortable being surrounded by so many cursed things. Like, it's not, I wasn't comfortable just seeing all those cursed objects. Anyway, all right, guys, it's tarot time. So we're just going to draw a card. As I've done this before, I just love the artwork, and I want to share it with you because it's so beautiful. Okay. The High Priestess. Look at that. And this character is Scheherazade. So I'm going to read the little thing here. So this is an Arabic folktale from Turkey. The High Priestess is a keeper of vast knowledge. With a story for every situation, Scheherazade asks the listener to focus on what their subconscious tells them, encouraging them to form their own conclusions. Her power is vast yet subtle. Her answers always mysterious. Represents wisdom, intuition, dreams, meanderings, and enigma. And so the original story of Scheherazade is these two brothers that were kings. One of their wives cheats on them, and so they're like, women are all bad, so we're just gonna continuously chop off their heads. And so Scheherazade starts telling stories, and so he'd marry someone during the day, and then the next morning chop their head off, and then marry somebody else, which sounds exhausting, getting married so many times. I wonder if they did the full ceremony. Anyway, but Scheherazade shows up, and he takes her as a wife, and she tells such compelling stories that he's like, well, I got to find out what happens. She leaves it on a cliffhanger. Very problematic, obviously. But storytelling, listening to stories and seeing what part of it speaks to you about it, right? Because the way that we interpret stories is through our own lens and through our own experiences. So if you're reading something or you're watching a video and it touches you emotionally, take a moment and pause and think about why. Think about what it is that's reaching you, and maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. But yeah, Scheherazade. I don't know. Oh, there's Matt. He's back.
Oh, hi. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Scheherazade and the High Priestess tarot card. Isn't it beautiful?
It's gorgeous. What is that? Which one is that? Which set is that from?
It's from the Tarot of the Divine. It's this guy here.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's a pretty one.
Yoshitani. Yeah. We're talking about stories.
Talking about stories. I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and as Bella said, if there hasn't been a story that touches your heart by the time you reach Saturday, then that's your sign to watch Tall Tale, Short Tale.
100%. That's such a fun show. I do love Tall Tale, Short Tale. It's a fun show to do because there's always, like, I love the stories that come out during that show are fantastic.
Yeah.
And Bella and Nora, the hosts of that show, are both a delight.
Just a delight.
Just a delight. And I'm not just saying that because Bella's watching the show. I would say that even if she wasn't watching.
And they did. So you guys asked for a link. I'm going to send this to Matt. And Matt, if you could pop that in the chat. That's a link to Yoshi Yoshitani's website.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're going to love it. It's great.
Yeah, there it is right there. Bella, it would actually be the other way around. You would be Venmoing me for the ad time. Because we send
a Venmo request.
Yeah, you'll be getting a Venmo request shortly for $200.
Yeah.
Because we ain't cheap. Hello world, hello cousin, not cheap. Good,
not
time.
Cheap show. We're adding it to the tagline. It's real. It's solid.
Real. I could. What a delight. All right, I tell you what. Let's. You wanna move forward here and bring on our next guest? I'm very excited.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Next guest. So our next guest is. You can't just describe her with one thing because she doesn't do just one thing. She does a myriad of things. She is a voiceover actor. She does audiobooks. She is an improviser. She is trained in opera. So many things. So please welcome to the show, Lisa Flanagan. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us from your void room there.
Yes,
that you have.
This is my pod.
Wow.
You haven't left it since March of 2020.
It's true. I actually hadn't left it since before that, pretty much, since I already kind of worked from home a lot. Yeah, I was already a bunker person. It's just, it was kind of a work-based bunker.
Yeah, you had said you had mentioned that while we were talking before the show that the pandemic just kind of helped solidify your career choice anyway.
Yeah, it was the universe saying it's like, that's fine. I mean, fine. Yeah,
this works.
Like we've got other things, but yeah.
There we go. We're gonna make that go along. There we go. Goes along the bottom of the screen. It doesn't. It's far too obtrusive if it just pushes us all up.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, you're calling us from New York, yes?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, a neighborhood of South Brooklyn called Sunset Park.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It is. Yeah, it's a good neighborhood.
Very cool. And you've been so you do mostly audiobooks or do you just run the gamut of voiceover work?
It used to be a little more of everything. At this point, it's largely audiobooks with bits of animation here and there, shoring up things. But yeah, mostly audiobooks. I also did the announcements for 2 Emmy ceremonies last fall. So that was really cool.
Oh,
the News and Journalism Emmys and the Technical Emmys.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What does that involve? Like, what is?
Basically, I wasn't a live announcer. It wasn't like I was sitting there watching. It was a couple weeks before, just recording the nominees are blah 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 blah, and then
that's a good Emmy voice. That's a really good Emmy voice.
Thank you. I've done a couple award shows. I love it. It's a great time. And then just recording in a very neutral but celebratory tone each of the winners for right now because then they bring it up, but they don't know which one it'll be. So they have me record all the cues.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to be like, and the winner is
each all one of them, each in a row. But each is a surprise.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
And Raj Andelman does point out blah 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 is so talented. Their work is just broad.
I know, right? They're part of the fabric of our civilization at this point.
Yeah,
so ubiquitous.
Part of our identity.
Now, I want to talk about. We talked real quick before the show about kind of your journey to becoming like a voiceover artist. Tell us about that. Like, tell us about your track that you.
Actually, it began up in Boston. I studied music and opera at Boston University. And I lived up there for some years after. And while I was doing my grad degree, I needed something not as structured as what I was doing. Opera is very structured. It's very historical. And there's performance practice going back 400 years. So I wanted something where it had none of that. So I started doing improv. And actually, one of the people I met doing improv was on the clips you were showing, the Knights of Prospect.
Oh yeah,
the DM John.
Oh, John Serpico. Yeah,
yeah.
He's pretty much the godfather of Boston improv. I think. Like he's Like he is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a big. John Serpico's a big deal.
He's a big deal.
He is, and rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He couldn't ask for just a nicer guy. Although he summers in New Jersey, but
on the coast.
On the coast, yeah. He metal detects. He's turned into one of the metal detecting people out on the beach.
I saw that. I feel like more people are getting into that now with that show, Curse of Oak Island. You know, and you've got like it's this.
I don't know that show.
Oh gosh, it's a show I feel like has gotten a bunch of people into like, I can go dig up treasure, and there's a lot of metal detecting with this guy, a British guy named Gary Drayton, and he's like, "Oh, what have we got here? Oh, that's wonderful." And it's like, I think I made him sound a little more like the crocodile hunter there.
You did.
Yeah,
I was going to say. Anybody in Australia, they all sound like the crocodile.
And yeah, but it's like that. But not crocodiles, just like digging through mud and finding a nail.
Like, oh, look at this.
That's a pretty good nail. You could probably use it again.
Maybe so. But for how it was, so yeah, I started doing improv in Boston. I ended up moving back to New York because I grew up around here. And I moved back to New York about, 2009. And I started doing improv in the city. And I did improvised opera, a lot of improvised musicals and improvised opera. And I had a one-woman show that was an improvised opera that I toured around the country for a bit.
Wow.
And did some fringe festivals. And that was super fun. I loved that.
And did you do it in English, or did you pull out any Italian, or
mostly English? Bits of languages came through, and there was a lot of Latin because people pray a lot in operas,
right?
But it was based on just taking all the tropes of like the heroine, the hero, the witch, and just turning them on their head. The evil duke, playing with that.
That sounds great. And it was just you. You did a solo show.
Me and a person on a piano. It was great. I loved it.
That's nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. And then I met someone who worked in assisted a VO teacher named Pat Fraley, who was a long-standing, like if you had a childhood, you heard Pat Fraley's voice. If you watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the day, or G.I. Joe.
I did. I watched both of those
or
shows. Or
Box Trolls, I think, is a more current movie. But yeah, and he's amazing. Great teacher. And I started doing his classes, and I ended up starting to do audiobooks. I actually got hired out of a class, which is the thing that you're never supposed to tell people happens.
Right.
I got hired out of a class by a Big Five publisher. And I did my first audiobook, and it was a food fetish erotica with a BDSM subplot.
What a first book.
How exciting.
What a first book to do.
Yeah.
Someone came up to you and was like, Can you read my erotica out loud, please?
Someone gave me a contract. No, this was well, no, they published this was Random House back then. Now it's Penguin Random House, but like, yeah.
Now, did they tell you first, or were they just like, "Hey, we've got a book.
We think
we'd like to hire you," and then once
they
hired you,
she knew I was new, and she was like, "I'd like to bring you in for this," but it wasn't. There's a normal audition where someone sends you a thing and you get the job, and then you go read the book and you do the job. Mm-hmm. Since she knew this was my first off, we went back and forth with a couple samples where she was like, "Show me how you want to do the male voices, the female voices." It was a brief mentoring period, and I really appreciated it because she gave me feedback about how to. She's like, "All right, don't do that so much. Scale that back a little," and the rest, she was really just wonderful.
That's awesome. So not only like you took the class, and then you just right out of it, you got a mentor, and that's the dream right there.
It was really cool. I actually did about 6 or 8 books, and then I stopped because I was only getting erotica.
You're like, okay.
Which is fine.
You just can't help it.
Here's the thing. Erotica is great. And it's a huge, huge portion of the industry, especially with audiobooks and Kindle and that sort of thing. Because you can have your smut in the same paper covers or plastic covers or cell phone covers as everything else in your life.
This is the screensaver on my this. Yes. This is what pops up when I close my Kindle.
So, but I was building that, and I just didn't want that to be my all the time. It was more of a portion control thing. Right. I wanted other parts to the meal.
Yeah. You don't want to just have BDSM for dinner.
Exactly.
That can get
you're gonna be hungry again by 11.
Now you had talked about in the email we sent back and forth a little bit before the show. You talked about a specific book that you're very, very proud of, and I listened to a little bit of it on your Instagram. And it's really cool. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about that book.
About 2 weeks ago, it released. It's a new book by the sci-fi novelist Jeff Vandermeer, who also wrote the book that became the movie Annihilation. He wrote the book Annihilation, which became that Natalie Portman movie.
I've heard of it. I have not seen it, but
it's a visually stunning movie. It's great. But the book the book I did was called Hummingbird Salamander. And it's a eco-thriller kind of noir dystopian fiction thing. And I think he says it's set 10 minutes in the future because it's all the things that are happening are things that are basically happening now.
Yeah.
And we're just looking at how climate collapse is a major factor in this mystery this woman is trying to track down. And an eco-activist and billionaire heiress who has led this woman to a building and given her a taxidermied hummingbird. And it starts her on this strange, obsessive journey to find this woman and figure all this out.
Wow.
And it's a blast. That was my experience. I love doing it. It might not necessarily be a blast as a reading experience, but I think it's a wonderfully written, intense book, and I was very proud of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you enjoy doing it, right, that's a thing in and of itself. Yeah. That sounds really, really cool. And I did listen to the little snippet you have up on your Instagram. And it sounds really intense.
It was funny because I was doing it at the same time as I was doing a nonfiction called Pipe Dreams, which is about innovations in toilet technology and how basically we've had the same toilet since the late 1800s, early 1900s. And there's all these places where it just doesn't work. So there's all these fantastic groups and technologies being developed, and it's really fascinating. And it gives a lot of hope in contrast to where you maybe look at things where it's like climate collapse and you're like, but people are figuring shit out. Ooh,
but toilets are going places.
They are.
Well, I mean, like, you know, like a lot of times when people, because in Japan they have advanced toilet technology, and when people go on vacation or trips to Japan, they come back and they're like, I'm getting a Japanese toilet. Like, we are way behind.
Or something.
Yeah,
there's a lot out there.
Yeah, and also I just there's this person on TikTok that I follow, and they do they compress the news for the day, and recently there was one about the flushable wipes are not actually flushable, and they're like
not remotely
pipes everywhere.
That's how you get what's it called? It's not fatbergs.
Yeah, no, I saw one of those. There was something in
Adam Ruins Everything did an episode.
I want to say London, or maybe it was New York, or someplace.
London had a huge one.
So gross.
Yeah, it was so gross. Oh,
they put it in a museum, and apparently people could still smell it in its like Pyrex container. Yeah.
What museum would have that?
Toilet museum.
I think the museum. It was some major museum in London. Because it had been such a cultural moment.
Wow, that's remind me to not go to that museum. I love museums, but I might take a pass on that one. So it sounds like how many books at a time do you work on? Like
I try to schedule myself so it's one at a time. And if I have books that overlap or are recording at the same time, only one can be fiction and the other has to be nonfiction. Otherwise, character voices will get futzed up and then terrible things happen. And post-production gets very upset. They're like, what happened here? But yeah, it's you get a.
Were you thinking about another book?
How dare you? It'd be weird to do if you were doing like an erotica piece and also like some YA be
or just like a dry weird. Like the history of stripes.
History of stripes, and you're just like, and it was so stripy. Yeah.
Like Lisa, the stripes are a little too sexy. Could you unsexy the stripes a little bit? Just a note.
My very first VO job actually happened before I ever came to New York and before that book. And it was a friend who was like fancied himself a venture capitalist and was helping a restaurant in, was it Medford? And I recorded the sexiest Thai food ad that has ever been recorded. And it's ridiculous. And then like they brought it back to me and they were like, can you make it sexier? Can you make it sultrier? And I was like, okay. And then the final product, they put saxophone behind it. And I was just like, this is putting a hat on a hat and then and then serving it with a side of rice. It was
No one's gonna be able to resist that Thai food now.
No. It's like if anything, people are gonna go eat that Thai food and be disappointed. I really
somewhere on YouTube. I bring it up every now and then just to be like, the beginning.
I mean,
with a little microphone on a desk.
Oh man, I wish you would have told me that before, Lisa. I would have had it all pulled up and ready to go. Well, we'll post it on our Discord. We'll post the sexy Thai food ad.
I mean, I think the place is still open even. So yeah, you never know.
Probably. I guess I know what I'm having for dinner tonight. I'm gonna light some candles, put on some light music, maybe draw a bath. And eat Thai food.
Just sit in the bath eating Thai food.
Yeah, pad Thai. Surprised it took me this long in quarantine to get to that point.
Your dog is totally going to get in on that. He's like, oh, it's on my level now. This is for both of us.
Yeah. Annie would be all over.
You both have the cutest dogs, and I love it.
Thank you.
Buddy Joe loves bathtubs. He's always trying to get into the bathtub.
Nice.
Except for when it's like the water is for him. If the water's not for him, he's going for it.
He can tell the difference. Yeah.
I'm lucky enough. Annie is small enough that I can pick her up and put her in the tub. And then once she's in there, she's okay. She shakes a little bit, but she's like, okay, it's fine. Like she's in and out. Gracie, on the other hand, Gracie is a 30-pound husky that we have. She's at daycare right now because if she were here, she would be in camera. She would be.
Huskies make themselves known.
Yeah,
they are. Yes.
Yeah, she's pretty well for as far as huskies go, but she will not go near. Like if I go in the bathroom and I'm like, Gracie, come here. She like comes to the bathroom door and looks at me. I'm like, come on, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna.
Well, I think they have different fur, don't they? You get those cold weather ones, and they have the different layers of fur.
Yeah. So luckily we don't have to bathe her, but I think when she was a little smaller, we had to give her a bath because she had rolled in something or something had happened and we needed to give her a bath. So I sat in the tub with her, like I was like in the and I'm a big dude, and our tub is not made for my size, but I'm trying to sit in this tub and I've got a husky between my legs, and she got just a claw. I didn't mean to, like in my on my inner thigh, and it was the worst scratch. I was like, I was in so much pain, and I was like, yeah. So we took her to a place called the Laundromat, which is just down, and that's one of those things where you can walk her up into this big area and then hook her in, and then she didn't care for that.
It sounds
either.
very Double Dare, just like you're in a tank and suddenly stuff floods down.
she was not a fan, but you got to do it. You just got to.
It's part of having pets.
Yeah. Well, now that's all I can think about. What were we talking about? Sexy Thai food.
Sexy Thai food. Yeah.
I'm curious a little bit about. So you've done some animated stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
A lot of it is I have no idea where. Like I think it's very small dubbed. Most of it's dubbed stuff.
Okay.
And so that goes to either specialty cable channels or I think foreign cable channels. I have a couple things that are up on I have a thing on Netflix. I was a villain in season 2 of World of Winx, which is a popular fairy cartoon.
They recently did a live action.
Yes.
Winx. And I did not know that Winx was a cartoon. I came into Winx as this live action thing, and I watched the whole thing and I was like, oh, this is it's kind of Harry Pottery without being Harry Pottery, which I like. Yeah. With all that J.K. Rowling nonsense. So I didn't feel as guilty about enjoying it, but then they're like, oh yeah, this was a cartoon. And I was like, oh, cool.
Several cartoons. Yeah. I think it had a couple spin-offs. The one I worked on was actually the spin-off of the original, where they were, they're fairies that have to defend these magical lands, but they're also a band touring Europe.
Yeah. It's like Gem and the Holograms, but with fairies.
And I'm a villain / music critic.
Yeah, as you would be.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm just gonna skip right to that season. That sounds really fun.
It's a fun season. And then the other one I did is on Crunchyroll. It's a dubbed of an anime called Snack World, which is all snack pun fairy tale creatures. And I'm Ciderella. Who starts
just sounds delightful
as a quiet, basically non-verbal shy girl who turns into a screaming, shouting drill sergeant. Her magical transformation isn't to a gown, it's to fatigues. And I coach the main character team every so often and show up sometimes to help in fights.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was fun. It was exhausting to record.
Yeah. That just sounds really, 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 really fun. Rachel's asking about some of the opera that you've done. What are some of the roles you've had that you've really enjoyed?
I've done a number of Puccini heroines. So I've sung Tosca and Suor Angelica, Madama Butterfly.
Okay.
So I've sung those roles. My favorite is Beethoven's Fidelio, which is his one opera about a woman who disguises herself as a man to work in a prison to find her husband who's been missing for 5 years as a political prisoner. And there he is. Meanwhile, the jailer's daughter falls in love with her and yada, yada, yada. But everything ends well.
Yeah.
Into it.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough in college where I went to school, the theater department and the music department and like the art department were all in one big building. We were right across from the music.
Convenient.
Yeah, we were right across from the music department, and I had a bunch of friends that were doing this opera, and they needed a non-singing role.
Supernumerary.
It was the impresario. It was Mozart's Impresario.
Oh, that's a
and I got to, and I was the impresario. So it was fun. What was cool is I was doing a show in the theater department at the same time, and we had a show the same night. Luckily,
Zach Morris.
I know, right? It was very Mrs. Doubtfire-y. It felt like, but yeah, I did the one show. I did the opera first, and then there was a like a tunnel that went from where all the practice rooms and everything were into where the green room was, and they just kind of dumbed down my makeup from the because I was playing an old character in the play, so they just kind of like muddled my makeup a little bit to make it work, and I just went from one right into the other. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was like my freshman year of college too, so I felt like I was like, oh man, I'm doing it. I'm living the life.
Yeah. 2 gigs one night. Yes.
2 gigs one night. Didn't get paid for either of them because it's educational.
You still had more audience members than people on stage. If you do comedy long enough, that becomes your metric.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that metric has since transferred over to the Twitch world too. I pretty much put everything on the metric of the studio theater at Improv Boston, which is about a 40-seat theater.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is a great number of people. Like if we were in the studio space, this would be a nice house.
This would feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So I love that. What are you working on now? Are you working on anything? Do you have anything coming up that you're really excited about?
I'm moving next month. So I'm wrapping up my recordings and shutting down my studio in a couple weeks to move up the Hudson River to Ulster County, nearer to my dad in Kingston, New York. But yeah, I'm finishing up a historical fiction right now that's set in 1940s New York. So I get to play with a lot of gangster accents, which is a blast.
So fun.
And journalists who show up and they're like, tell us about the thing. Is it that? Is it that? And you know that and it's even written like that. And you can see it in the way she writes. And you're like, this is where you want that guy. So that's super fun. I just finished a nonfiction that's a spin-off of an Oscar-winning film called Period, End of Sentence. And it was a short live action film about a man who, his name is Arunchalam Muruganantham. And he invented a pad making machine for women so that they could have better access to period products. And so they could also make their own and create small businesses in India. And that has spread all over the world. And he's a really remarkable man. And this is just about different challenges and innovations and the changing world of period poverty, period stigma, the rise of other cultures claiming their own traditions in that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was fascinating.
Very cool. It just sounds like it sounds just like you get to learn so much fascinating material through these projects.
So much cool stuff passes in front of me and I love it. I just love it.
That's really great. Well, you can follow Lisa at Leeser on as I've typed here, Twitter. It's not Twitter. It's
Tweeter.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and one before I go, I wanted to show you my tarot because you have a beautiful tarot deck. I got this a couple months back. It's the Salvador Dali tarot deck.
Oh, cool.
And he did this amazing deck in like was it the 50s or the 60s? But just really crazy art.
Oh, well, this is our new show. It's just going to be you and Chloe, like showing off different tarot decks.
Like, let's hear.
So beautiful. I'm putting that one on my list.
Tashin reprinted it just a year or two ago. So
it's
a whole kit in like a beautiful velveteen box.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
And it comes with a book, and it's just like it sits on my shelf and is gorgeous. Yeah,
that's really nice for.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Good luck on your move. That's exciting, but also I'm sure overwhelming.
Scared.
You didn't have to remove each and every one of those blocks from the wall behind you.
Actually, I'm gonna probably sell this before I leave the city. But yeah, it's just I'm sitting in a box of expensive Legos. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Well, check out Lisa on Twitter. Follow her. Get her audiobook, The Hummingbird Salamander. Check out that book. And as Bella said, I want to watch Snack World. So go watch Snack World. That sounds like super fun. So thanks, Lisa. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So much fun.
That's so cool. I love that. The idea of having a job where, I mean, that's part of why I love doing this show. Like having a job or a project where like you just get exposed to so many different things and like information and facts is like, that's the dream.
Yeah. I want to get into voiceover so bad.
Oh, it's so cool.
So bad. But it's terrifying to me. And I get, whenever I think about it, I just get overwhelmed. So I stop. Like it's one of those things where you just get, you think about it. It's like, okay, I need this. And then it's just like, my brain just starts going,
short circuits.
So I move on and do something else. And then it comes back around. I'm like, oh man, this is really something.
I should do voiceover.
Lisa has definitely inspired me to look back into that, because it just is such a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at the end of our show. We've had two amazing guests today. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Luke. It was so wonderful talking to both of them. We do have some business. We have our trivia question. So our trivia question today was: a group of crows is called a murder. What do we call a group of owls? And Rachel actually nailed it early on in the chat. I don't remember exactly what she said. But she did get, she said a wisdom, and that is correct. It's called a parliament, but also a wisdom or a study.
Oh, I didn't know about the other two.
Yeah. Also, do you know what they call a group of flamingos? This was going to be my question, but I like the owl ones better.
Isn't it like a flamboyant or something?
It is. Yeah, it's a flamboyance. Yeah. A flamboyance of flamingos, which I love. Yeah, Bella, you said post-grad cohort. You were very close. Your answer is also valid. And yes, good to see you, Other Dave Thomas. You're right. Owls are nerds. So even in the chat, Other Dave Thomas is roasting them out. Maybe we should get David to do an animal roast.
Oh yeah, animal roast.
So that would be fun.
I like a smack of jellyfish.
A smack of jellyfish.
A smack.
Interesting. Let's do some birthdays real quick. We've got a few minutes.
Let's do some birthdays.
This is a cool birthday today. It's Carol Burnett's birthday today.
Carol Burnett, happy birthday to Carol Burnett.
Also, Jet Li and Channing Tatum. Magic Mike.
Great.
Yeah, I got a good trio of birthdays today.
Channing Tatum, just like, I would hang out with him. He seems chill.
I would 100% hang out with Channing Tatum. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. 22 Jump Street was one of my favorite sequels. Like, it was so, like, I did not expect that I would enjoy the Jump Street movie franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the 2 movies.
Something that I think about all the time, because they go back to school, right? And when Channing Tatum was in school, he was the cool kid, and he was like a jock and had like a car or whatever. And they're walking in, and he's like got his backpack. Everyone else has got both straps on because
yeah.
And he's like, no, you got to do the single strap. It's the cool thing.
Yeah, because it was cool when he was in high school, and now it's let's see other birthdays this week. We've got Tuesday tomorrow, Casey Kasem and Lizzo. Wednesday, Jessica Alba and Nate Rickert. I don't know if you watched Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. He plays Harvey in that. Thursday, Duke Ellington, Willie Nelson, and Carney Wilson. Birthdays there. And then Friday, Kirsten Dunst, and Amanda Palmer from the Dresden Dolls, also married to Neil Gaiman. Amazing. So we got some good birthdays this week.
Sweet birthdays.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show, everybody. Thanks for watching. Oh, nope, they are divorced. Okay. Thank you, Rachel, for keeping me up to speed on that. Sorry, I don't really. I mean, I get. Yeah, I don't know. No longer married to Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is on the market.
He's on the market. Also, Jessica Alba, creator of the Honest Company. Honest Company's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Neil Gaiman keeps getting recommended to me as a Facebook friend. Well, I'm sure he would be a wonderful. I'm currently on my second watch of Good Omens, which was a Neil Gaiman Terry Pratchett collab, and it's with Michael Sheen and David Tennant. Also, if you haven't watched Staged, you should check out Staged. I believe it's on Hulu, but it's Michael Sheen and David Tennant doing like a quarantine thing, and it's very fun. It's very, very fun. Let's see. But on this channel, we also have a lot of fun stuff coming up tonight. We've got Game Show Monday. As with every Monday, we have That Sounds Right, not What Sounds Right. That Sounds Right. Poof, the Magical Game Show, which is going to continue on. It's going to be part 2 of the Poof Boy Detective crossover. So tonight, the Boy Detectives are going to be on Poof, which is going to be it's going to be an interesting
episode.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting show, y'all. So if you have never tuned into Poof, tonight is the night to do that. And then we're bringing back Run On tonight at 9. So just
amazing,
all kinds of great content, starting at 7 and going all the way to 10 o'clock tonight on 2MB. We've got so many shows that go on all week long. Check out our Discord. Let's see. We'll get that Discord link in the chat. Thank you. Oh, you can also get the newsletter. Yeah, you can get that newsletter. Rachel using the shortened URLs that we learned how to use. Very exciting. Well done, Rachel. There's the Discord link in the chat. Rachel's killing these links right now. Crushing it because I didn't have them set before the show. So I would have to go through, and it would be a whole big thing if I was having to do that right now. So
it'd be a whole thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rachel. So you can get on our newsletter, get on our Discord. We've got merch. You can go to our merch store. And, most importantly, I think, of all of these things is our Patreon. 3 weeks. Sorry, 3 weeks courses. If you want to, the new classes of those are going to be coming up, I think. I'm not sure when those are starting. But I mean, they're 3 weeks. So even if you're halfway, you show up and they're not doing them, they're going to be doing them again in the next couple weeks. So check that out. Yeah. Join up on our Patreon. We're almost at 20 patrons on Patreon, which is huge. Very exciting. The more patrons we have, the easier it is to maybe do this as a job one day, which would be really, really cool.
So good. That would be so amazing.
Yeah, we're working on some new stuff for the Patreon. We've got a patrons only Discord that we're going to be starting, and I think Chloe and I are going to be doing some cool stuff on there.
Some cool stuff.
Yeah. We're talking about doing a book club. Which is really exciting. We'll be announcing that probably here in the next week or so. It's almost May.
Goodness gracious.
It's almost May. So the next show we will officially be in May. So we'll have more. What?
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. That's a great.
We did it. I did it.
We did it. We're having a question. Chloe, are you teaching anything through 3 weeks courses this time around?
I don't think so. I think they might just be doing workshops for the next month or two. I have to double check on that, but I'll have information for you next week for sure.
Oh, very cool. And we'll have more information on the Chloe and Matt book club, which I don't know. We've got a lot of working titles. Hello Word is one of them.
Yep.
But who knows what we'll land on between now and then. So sign up for all that goodness. Keep watching the channel. Thank you all. Hello Book is another one. Yes, absolutely. Thank you all so much for your support and for watching. You're all beautiful, beautiful people. Be good to each other out there. It's starting to get nice, but just because you're vaxxed doesn't mean you shouldn't wear your mask.
Yeah.
Don't forget, wear that mask.
And sunscreen.
And sunscreen.
Okay? This part of your face is covered up. This is not. Don't let your forehead get red.
Yeah, I don't know if you can still see it. No, it's kind of gone away. I used to have a very I'm trying to line up my fingers. I used to have a very distinct line across my forehead where it was white and then red. And that's not a fun
It's not cute.
It's not cute. It's awful. And it only led me to wear more hats, which just made it worse. And it was like I didn't know how to fix it, but it's thankfully to quarantine. It's gone away.
We got a lot to say. Yeah, we got a lot to say hello to. Sunscreen, mask, Patreon book. There's a lot going on. There's so much for you. Some for everybody.
Chloe, besides the sunscreen, do you have any final words of wisdom for us before we?
I mean, I think that's it. You wearing the sunscreen, it's a big one because you're gonna be outside. If as always, stay hydrated. And I highly recommend Sunbum as a sunscreen brand. It smells good and it won't make you break out.
Yeah, Sunbum. Let's get some of that. Let's get some of that Sunbum money. Sunbum money. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, world.
Bye.